there's, according to one girl, I said, they plowed that, and the little birds are all over the place. They couldn't find their mothers anymore because they broke. And I got a call. One, I told
Yeah,
them,
that's important.
they come down.
You guys ready?
and get fined.
Ma'am.
Good evening. Today is Tuesday, February 17th. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heather, would you please take roll?
Councilmember Raditz.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Smith.
Here.
Councilmember Lasky.
Here.
Mayor Sullivan.
Here.
Councilmember Keck.
Here.
Councilmember Grabowski.
Here,
Councilmember Ruzga.
Here.
City Manager.
Here.
City Attorney. DPW Director.
Here.
Finance Director.
Here.
Community Development Director.
Here.
Police Chief.
Here.
City Engineer.
Here.
Roll call complete.
Thank you. Any council member with a conflict of interest regarding an agenda item may disclose it at this time. Public hearings, we have none. Citizens' comment. Any citizens with correspondence to be distributed to council should provide items to the city clerk prior to the start of the meeting or after the meeting has adjourned, limited to 5 minutes. Don't have. Consent agenda. All items marked with an asterisk are considered by the city manager to be routine matters. Prior to approval, any member of council may have an item removed and taken up during the regular portion of the meeting. Items include approval of minutes, payroll, invoices, consideration of the 2026 Manistee National Forest Festival, consideration of the Catamaran Racing Association of Michigan holding a Manistee Regatta on June 27th and 28th of 2026. At this time, council could take action to approve the consent agenda as presented. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Heather, would you please take roll?
I'd like to
Oh,
ask
okay.
for one issue to be moved,
Okay.
okay?
Yeah, are you?
Okay, I'd like to have the catamaran issue moved over to new business.
So, how do you want us to do that?
This is Blake.
I can't hear him.
Blake.
Yeah, we would just need an amended motion to approve the consent agenda with that item removed.
Did you hear that? We need to
Amended motion.
make an amended motion to not include the catamaran.
Okay, I'll make an amended motion.
I'll second it.
So Blake, that requires two votes, correct?
Well, you don't need it to make a motion to remove an item from the consent agenda. As soon as the council member raised that objection, it's automatically removed. So you kind of have to go back to start, and you only need one motion to now approve the consent agenda items, all of the items other than the catamaran.
Okay, even though I had a first motion on the agenda to approve it as is, I can just get a vote on the amended motion?
Yes, which would be to approve the consent agenda items other than the catamaran.
Okay.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda with removing item D?
So that's we have that. So we
Okay.
have the motion by Councilmember Grabowski and the second by Councilmember Ruzga.
Okay,
Is that correct, Blake?
Yes.
Okay.
okay.
So Councilmember Raditz,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Lasky,
Yes.
Mayor Sullivan.
Yes.
Councilmember Keck,
Yes.
Councilmember Grabowski,
Yes,
Councilmember Ruzga.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Okay, you want to start with new business with that one, or do you want me to?
No, that'll be at the
At
end.
the end, okay. Okay, consideration of authorizing an agreement with Red E Charging LLC for additional Lake Michigan Circuit EV charging stations. In January 2021, the city partnered with Red E Charging LLC, Red E, to install electric vehicle charging stations at Veterans Memorial Park and River Street DDA parking lots. Red E worked with the city and Consumers Energy on this proposed expansion of EV charging infrastructure to Fifth Avenue and First Street beaches, utilizing Eagle Lake Michigan Circuit grant funding. The Lake Michigan Circuit is a multi-state initiative to create a scenic 1,100-mile reliable charging route to support coastal tourism. At this time, council will take action to approve an agreement with Red RE Charging LLC for additional Lake Michigan Circuit EV charging station and authorize the mayor and the city clerk to execute the agreement. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I have,
I have some concerns.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Liz.
let's discuss this one. There's, the beaches are, it's a finite parking amount, or finite amount of parking anyway. And I think there are some much better locations than those two parking lots for these charging banks if needed. It seems like we had a little, some emails back and forth this week with the council and the city manager, to where we're not really notified or getting much feedback as far as the use. I mean, I know there's, I think, one at Dick's Barber Shop parking lot. There's the ones at the North Channel. There might be some others, and then we've got Meyer. I'm just not sure how much they're being used. I'm all about conserving energy. I'm all about making things accessible. But I think there's better places for those closer to downtown to draw people downtown. I'm not sure that having electric cars plugged in for 6, 7, 8, 10 hours at the beach during peak season when we've got it's packed anyway is a good idea. Given the climate, how do I word this? Given the climate, the confrontational climate of some people, I could see some issues if there's a car that's not supposed to be an EV in the EV lot, which I guess I don't have an EV, so I don't know if, I assume you're not supposed to park in the EV parking spots if you don't have an
I'm
EV.
guessing just like a handicap.
Yeah.
You don't need it, you
Yeah.
don't park there.
I can just see a lot of,
Yeah, I can too.
I can see a confrontation coming from somebody, so that's my discussion.
I looked up today too, and it said very few Lake Michigan beaches in Michigan actually place public EV chargers on the beach property itself. Most municipalities intentionally keeping parking lots natural, shoreline oriented, and they place the EV chargers in the downtown or the marina parking areas, is what it came across when I looked it up. And the usage, according to that, was 1.7 average visits a day. And we are on the charging map. I mean, there are the Hampton has a couple, and usually when you do, and we don't have an electric car, but from what I've seen, you charge your car, and the goal is that they either go shop at Myers, maybe they go have a lunch or a drink at the Hampton, but you're encouraging them to do something. And so on the beach, you'd have to have your beach chair in the car and your sunscreen, and I think the other thing is I think we're serving a finite group. I think our beach parking should be the citizens that we would never put a gas station at the beach, and that would serve many more people than an EV charger. It's a very select group that would be able to use that. And we've got some local taxpayer that comes down there with a couple kids in beach chairs and is parking a long ways away with little kids going to the beach. So I think the usage and the payment of $603 since 2020, $125 about a year, doesn't justify, it's not a big revenue generator to the city. And to place it where it can only be used at best 6 months of the year, that, you're not going to charge it down there in the dead of winter, and especially if the Hampton already has two. So, and you had mentioned that they were behind like on their payment, and so if you had a rental house and they skipped a payment and they wanted to have another rental house, you probably wouldn't rent to that renter if they weren't current.
So the reason this came about too is that the Eagle identified a shortage here, and we already had an agreement with Ready Charging. I think a lot of municipalities would pay to put this infrastructure in. They actually pay us. There was that one missing payment, which I'm looking into with them. The reason for the beaches, it was kind of, if someone were to come, there's a time element where they could, charge while utilizing the beach. We do have a vendor there. We already do have them downtown, but I think if we could look at a different location. The idea was, when I talked to Mr. McCullough about it, we kind of took those off the main parking lot at Fifth Avenue Beach, but the idea would be, if someone's driving a Tesla from Chicago, maybe they stop here to charge, see our beaches. That was kind of the idea, but most of the time, as you mentioned, that area is not utilized, but during peak season, that's probably not. There's going to be times Saturday, Sunday, Fridays when there's a need for parking, but for the most part, I don't think it would present an issue, but yeah, I understand council's concern about it. It's just kind of a way, like you said, we're already on the map, but this would just be another amenity to offer at the beach, but not, obviously, it's when our residents could use it as well.
Well, if you look at it in summertime, there's parking every which way down there. Now to take away 4 more parking places doesn't make much sense.
And in some of the pictures that I saw, they look like very large spots. I mean,
Yeah, the direct, yeah, the fast chargers are bigger, which that's kind of,
I just don't, I hate to see them go to the beach. I mean, we're fighting to get a parking place to even go to the Hampton anymore. If you're not staying at the Hampton, you don't want to park in their place, but to be able to go to the outside bar and restaurant, that's causing a real problem with parking down there the way it is. I just don't see it a good place for it. I'm not opposed to it. I
No.
just don't know if it's
It's not the
beach.
right location
Yeah,
because
it's
it
not the
doesn't
right-
benefit everyone.
Are
And
we-
not anybody can use the parking spots now.
Are we good to vote on this, Glenn?
So, from what I understand, Ready gets grant money to install these. So the city's missing a grant opportunity, from what I see. There might be a way, and we won't own the equipment, yet we're gonna be liable. And I don't know how much liability, what that costs the city to carry the liability insurance on their equipment as an additional insured. So I don't even know if we make a penny off it. And I guess the other thing is just a question. If it's personal property, are those units being taxed as personal property by the city? Because the way it sounds like they almost should be. And then I do agree with everyone that there's probably a better location for them. Just something, a place where they could be used all over. I mean, maybe it's just another parking area, even in a different part of the city.
Even that Ramsdale, behind the Ramsdale Inn.
Or the
across city
library, you know, that, yeah.
And I don't know,
Spots. And I'm not sure about you get any money at all out of it in the end.
I guess
Because if one of our plows hits it, the other thing is, at the beach, what sand will do to those units?
and the last thing, I don't know if our charter really allows it, because we in essence are leasing it, and we are not supposed to lease at the beach without a vote of the taxpayers. So I don't know if we really should be doing that.
yeah, I would look at they're placing an amenity there. We're not leasing them space, they're actually paying. But yeah, it's up to council if you want to, I could send that feedback back to them.
Can we table this then?
I don't think we should take.
We don't
I
have to
don't,
table it.
it would have to come up back next meeting if you're going to table it, if you want to.
Yeah,
Well,
just take a
if you're
vote.
going to take a vote, then they're going to be at the beach, the way it's presented, right?
If we vote
Not if
yes.
we vote it
If we vote
down.
no,
Oh,
Yeah.
you got to vote.
Yeah, Bill's going
Well,
to talk
vote
to
You
them.
made the motion
Yes.
and you seconded it.
Approve.
You haven't
I did.
voted
Way
yet,
it is.
correct.
but
Well,
I'm saying we could table it until we get the answers, like
No.
the other locations. Unless you just want to vote no.
And that could take some time. They'll have to figure out with consumers where they could be.
Yeah, we're voting
We're
at
voting.
it at the beach, so
Okay.
You have to
All
come
right,
back to a new place.
Will you please take roll?
Councilmember Raditz.
So they're voting on the motion to pass it right now?
Yes.
Okay.
I am.
Let's state the motion so everybody knows what the yes
The
and no.
motion, I have a motion by Councilmember Raditz and a second by Councilmember Grabowski to approve an agreement with Ready Charging LLC for additional Lake Michigan Circuit EV charging stations and authorize the mayor and clerk to execute the agreement.
No.
Thank you.
No,
Councilmember Raditz.
I did not make the motion.
I
That was
made the
Yeah.
motion.
No, we're voting on it now.
I know.
Oh, okay.
Oh, did I say Raditz? I'm sorry. I meant Councilmember Ruzga. I apologize.
It's just because I'm so friendly.
I apologize.
No.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem Smith.
No,
Councilmember Lasky.
No.
Mayor Sullivan.
No.
Councilmember Keck.
no.
Councilmember Grabowski.
No,
Councilmember Rezga.
No.
Motion failed.
Thank you. Consideration of authorizing to retain Stagg Liuzza LLC for PFAS litigation. The city has incurred PFAS testing costs at the former city landfill site as required by Eagle Phase 2 of 3M, and DuPont PFAS settlement is currently active with various deadlines for filing claims extending through 2030 to ensure proper representation and meet these deadlines. Several Michigan communities have engaged Stagg Liuzza LLC to pursue claims in aqueous film forming foam AFFF multi-district litigation MDL number 2873 for damages to municipal water and wastewater systems. This action will allow the city to seek recovery with no upfront cost and minimal financial risk. At this time, council could approve the legal services agreement with Stagg Liuzza LLC to pursue PFAS claims under MDL number 2873 and authorize the city manager to execute this agreement. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
And I'd like to just mention, this actually is just for,
Will somebody please put this into
Yeah.
English for me, because
Yeah.
I have no idea what I'm even voting on.
so there was a settlement with 3M and DuPont, and they're producers of PFAS, and we're in the stage right now where they're doing the settlements for drinking water and wastewater. So we're not going to be seeing anything for our testing costs at this time, but what they're going to do is, with this phase, they come and do a test of our wells. They have very sensitive testing equipment or labs that'll take that. We'll have a baseline, and then they'll be kind of monitoring it. And then there's basically different deadlines throughout this process, but there's future litigation that could come from that we might recover for our landfill testing, but that's not this portion. This portion is kind of just focused on drinking water and wastewater. So I just wanted to clarify that for council.
Anybody else?
So I'm curious, who in the city is responsible for gathering, the reports and the data? Because it sounds like a lot of work.
So there's a few different items they're going to need. They're going to need like water flow and things like that. Mr. McCool and I met with them. So it would be our water department, Mr. McCool, to gather those items.
The state of Michigan already requires us to test our drinking water and the wastewater discharges for these compounds. The testing techniques that we perform have shown 0 results or non-detects. The law firm and their group would retest everything, and what they explained to us is that it's at a much higher sensitivity. So even though we're fully in compliant and don't have any immediate concerns, this simply sets us up so that if there is anything now or in the future, that we can get recouped. So a lot of that groundwork is already information we have. We just need to provide it to them.
So I didn't see anything in the contract that stated how the law firm was going to report back to us. The progress reports or something.
So we'll be in contact with them, getting them the information they need, and then we'll be in contact with them. I don't think, they basically don't receive any payment until it's basically if we get a payment, then they get a payment. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, it was pretty clear in the contract that they get 1/3, and then plus we agree to reimburse all costs and expenses. That was like on page 51. And that they get to do all the decision-making on the litigation. I don't know, that sounds really scary to me, because it's like there's no cap. Somehow I would think there'd be a cap on how much reimbursement, reasonable costs and expenses there will be, Because you could end up with nothing, and I just think we should be aware of that.
Yeah, I think the testing, the PFAS testing, that's really the expense.
is there a time limit on that, Bill?
So we just have to have that in by March 31st.
When Bill and I met with them online, this is our portion of a class action.
Right.
So the courts have already ordered how the attorneys recoup their costs and payments, and that's part of the settlement of the class action with DuPont and 3M.
So then, I guess the last thing is, it states that if the attorneys are disqualified, discharged, or resign, then the city has to pay for all the costs, because there's no settlement. They just quit for whatever reason, or are kicked out. Let's say things don't look so good, although I think they probably will. I just think we need to be aware of this, that it could end up costing the city the whole shebang if something like that happens. Right?
Yep, if I can interject. If for some reason they were disqualified, an alternate firm we would engage an alternate firm to step in the litigation.
The terms might be different.
Yeah. And I just, you know, it sounds real pretty when you read it.
Always does.
Like it's a win-win for the city, but bad things could happen.
What could happen?
So, I would be curious, how many other entities that only listed 2 are in it. And I know this could drag on for a decade. So.
Are you good now?
Did they solicit us, or did we find them?
Actually, I was approached by the city manager of Cadillac, just asking if we were involved with this, and introduced us, so it was really just another manager reaching out.
Because I think that is a good point. How many
Yeah.
other municipalities are using the same firm? And even
there
how
might
close
be
they are, their cost would be.
Yeah. So I'm a little, the fact that there's no cap on costs, and it's kind of a scary contract to me.
Bill, correct me if I'm wrong, but the way I understood it is this firm has been almost appointed by the courts to represent this class action, and every water municipality in the country is automatically a part of this unless you opted out of it. You would opt out of it if you wanted to hire your own legal representation to litigate against those companies.
Okay.
Did I
Correct,
capture
yes,
that
that's
correct?
correct. So we didn't opt out, so we wouldn't
Okay, we should
bring our
have
own
known.
suit, so
That's
Yeah.
a really
that's a
good
good point.
statement.
Good point.
Because I was getting the impression we opted out of the big one to do a little one.
Okay.
So,
So because the city did not opt out,
yes.
we're eligible, but we have to take the next steps in order to get any relief or payments or the further testing and so forth.
Okay.
Stay there. Anybody else? No? Okay, thank you. Heather, would you please take roll?
Thank you.
Councilmember Raditz.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Smith.
Yes.
Councilmember Lasky.
Yes.
Mayor Sullivan.
Yes.
Councilmember Keck.
Yes.
Councilmember Grabowski.
Yes,
Councilmember Rezga.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you. Consideration of a lease amendment for Morton Park. Morton Park is situated on land owned by Morton Salt, Inc. The land has been leased by the city since 1994. The city has interest in providing off-street parking at the park. An amendment to the lease has been prepared to expand the park land to the south, allowing for construction of a parking lot. At this time, council could take action to approve a lease amendment with Morton Salt and authorize the city clerk and mayor to execute these documents. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll support.
What is the cost of this parking lot?
So there's going to be construction costs.
Budgeted for at this
Yeah,
point?
that was my question.
So we've been discussing this, it was actually prompted by the Parks Commission years ago. It's come up, it's kind of gone away, it's come back up. But the most recent, when we started working on this particular document, the discussions with Morton is that Morton was willing to construct the parking lot itself if the city designed it and was responsible for kind of overseeing the grading and staking, that sort of thing. And then this document requires us to pave it. So the last estimates we had from the engineers was $25,000. And that's slated in the capital improvement plan for the upcoming year. So likely, if this gets approved, that would be proposed as part of the upcoming budget.
What makes this parking lot more, except for the agreement with Morton, to pave than, say, Muha Park, which seems to get a tremendous amount of use?
Wonderful question, because first of all, paving that portion of Duffy Park is also in the same capital improvement plan for the upcoming budget year, and I'm hoping that that can be presented to you as well. So equal of importance in that respect, but this park is one of the only, maybe, I think it's the only park that has no off-street parking. The way it's situated, it's right at the intersection of Ramshill and 3rd Street. It's a very large park. It's underutilized. We've put a lot of investment with new equipment. We've did a lot of community involvement there. But it's not the safest place for people to park and bring their families. So the discussion has been that we hope that this provides more opportunity for the MRA to use it for flag football and soccer and just families to come and be safer when they're visiting it.
Okay.
And
thanks,
maybe EV outlets.
Too soon, too soon.
Too soon for that.
Everybody good?
Yes.
Thank you. Heather, would you please take roll?
Councilmember Rezga.
Yes.
Councilmember Grabowski.
Yes.
Councilmember Keck.
Yes.
Mayor Sullivan. Councilmember Lasky. Mayor Pro Tem Smith.
Yes.
Councilmember Raditz.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you. Consideration of recognizing Manistee Amphitheater Foundation as a nonprofit organization for the purpose of obtaining a charitable gaming license. Manistee Amphitheater Foundation has requested the City of Manistee adopt a resolution to recognize their organization as a nonprofit for the purpose of a charitable gaming license through the state of Michigan. The license is required before the foundation can hold any raffles or drawings. They plan to have ongoing fundraising efforts for the Manistee Amphitheater project. At this time, council could take action to adopt a resolution recognizing Manistee Amphitheater Foundation as a nonprofit organization for the purpose of applying for a charitable gaming license through the state of Michigan. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Heather, would you please take roll?
Mark, want to say something?
Do you have a presentation?
I think you wanted to
I think you must.
Hello.
Hi.
Bill had offered this would have been part of the consent agenda, and he said if I'd like an opportunity to just come and give you guys an update on a couple things, that might be a good minute to do that. So if I may, we are going to be applying to the state. That was the purpose of this resolution. It's pretty standard. We're getting a gaming license just to have as a tool for fundraising. Envision some raffles down the road that would help our fundraising efforts. And then Dune Jam, which we actually put our special event permit request in back on December 4th. And we ran into a little bit of a snag with the drone company because their safety zone, they're putting 300 drones in the air, and their safety zone required us to close the shipping channel down. And we've worked through that. So they're actually going to shift it a little bit to the south. And in working with Chief Glass and Commander at the Coast Guard Station, we're getting that resolved. So I expect our special event permit request to be on your next agenda for approval for that. We do have June 20th set, including the drone show, which is going to be like nothing Manistee has ever seen. There'll be 300 drones in the air. We've had input on all the images. Imagine a giant light bright, if you will, and there'll be all kinds of cool coastal images and fish and boats and beach type things. And then the cool part is there will be a synced up soundtrack. And in addition to going through our PA that we'll have for the bands, you'll be able to shoot a QR code anywhere you're at. You'll be able to hear that synced up soundtrack. So it won't matter if you're in the parking lot or by the golf course or wherever you're watching the drones, you'll be able to hear the music. Cool thing about this is it's going to be a free event. We're going to treat this as our campaign kickoff. There won't be a beer tent. It's going to be just like a 4th of July event like we've had down at the band or the Shelter House. It'll be come and go. We have 5 amazing bands. Some of the best bands in Michigan are coming in. And then the fish boil. We are bringing the fish boil back. West Shore Bank, Sheila and Trinity there have stepped up. They're going to be our co-chairs. And we're working with Mick Szymanski at the Lions to bring the fish boil back. It's really exciting. It's going to a tremendous amount of work, but we're up to the task and excited to bring this event to the community, which will become an ongoing event on that 3rd weekend in June. The CVB is very pleased. That's typically kind of a dead week, and we intend to bring a lot of people into Manistee, and we'll bring those details forward when we bring our event permit, which is all in order with Chief. And then As far as the amphitheater, we are getting very close to coming back for a study session with you folks. We're not quite there yet. We're working on some cost estimates right now with Pioneer Construction, and we expect to have those before us in the next couple, 3-4 weeks. So, and to that, Pioneer is building the new Acroshore Amphitheater in downtown Grand Rapids. I believe Bill sent you all an invite. They've just extended an invite for stakeholders in the Manistee Amphitheater. Obviously, it's on a lot different scale than what we're doing, but the point is to show placemaking, and this does it on a huge level. I don't know if any of you have seen it yet. But as much as some of the other things they've done to transform downtown Grand Rapids have worked, this and concurrently the soccer stadium is being built 2 blocks away. So really exciting time, but it will be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to go behind the scenes and get a full tour. That's at 4 o'clock on the 27th. Tour will take about an hour and a half if you want to join us for that. We'll get you all the details, park right on site and that type of thing. So that's kind of the update. I appreciate it, and I will be in touch regarding future endeavors. Thanks.
Thank you, Mark. Heather, would you please take roll?
Councilmember Raditz.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Smith.
Yes.
Councilmember Lasky.
Yes.
Mayor Sullivan.
Yes.
Councilmember Keck.
Yes.
Councilmember Grabowski.
Yes.
Councilmember Rezga.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you. Consideration of the Oil and Gas Investment Board bylaws amendment. The Oil and Gas Investment Board took action on their February 3rd, 2026 meeting to review and recommend changes to Section 2C of the bylaws, correcting the appointment term for council members from 2 years to annually. At this time, council could take action to approve the amendment to the Oil and Gas Investment Board. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Heather, would you please take roll?
Councilmember Rezga.
Yes.
Councilmember Grabowski.
Yes.
Councilmember Keck.
Yes.
Mayor Sullivan.
Yes.
Councilmember Lasky.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Smith.
Yes.
Councilmember Raditz.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Okay. Now we have the consideration of the Catamaran Racing Association holding a Manistee Regatta, June 27th, 2026. Mr. Grabowski.
Yes. A couple years ago, Bill, I came to you, and the city went down to the beach in between the piers, and they bulldozed a big area so that the catamarans could come up from the water. They had 4 people pushing each catamaran, and from what I understand, I don't know, Jeff, if you know, the piping plovers on this side of the water, of the pier, because they said, somebody who knew the birds said there were the birds there, and I came to Bill and I told him that. And I tried to meet up with the conservation gal that came down there, and I told Bill, you know, we could be in trouble if there was really are the birds. But I know the guys from the city denied that they did it, but I know they did it because the girls knew them. Now, they're coming again to do that. They're gonna plow those banks down like they did last time. I mean, why don't they use that way down where they used it the first couple years they came here? They were further down, not in that area. I mean, if these birds are really there, I don't know.
So the work that we did was to repair the deck, the rotary deck that's there. A portion of that deck was buried in sand. We brought equipment down to remove the sand from that deck to replace all the rotted boards. It wasn't to support the catamaran. They've been here for a number of years. When they came here, they saw that pathway and thought that would work just fine for them. So we didn't do any grading work to support that event. It was to basically do maintenance on that deck. As far as the piping plovers, what I'm aware of is that the United States Fisheries and Wildlife works with Eagle, and they have a specific team that is stationed in the state of Michigan, and they monitor all the nesting pairs throughout the state. And when they identify where they're at and where they're nesting, they notify us. They put up signage and alerting the public. And then when there's actually nests with eggs in it, then they'll put a fencing around it so that dogs and other animals don't disturb them. But they've never reported anything to us at First Street Beach.
Okay, because they're telling me that, so I'm just bringing it, I brought it to Bill. And, you know, they said the little birds were all over the place because they couldn't find the mothers the next day.
Yeah, and this is just what I've learned over the years in discussions with Fisheries and Wildlife. They're birds, so they go everywhere, but where they nest is in beach areas where there's cobbled stone. The stone that's exposed at the surface of the beach helps to hide their eggs and their nests and so forth. So just north of the beach at Fifth Avenue is usually where the nesting pairs are located and where they return. I think we've got a permanent sign that's there. And then when they do nest, then they put up additional signage, and like I said, they'll put up fencing around that.
Okay, I didn't know about working on the deck, but they just said that they came through and mowed everything down over there. I don't know what they did.
Yeah, there was a group that was on the beach one day when I went there to observe the work we were doing, and they asked me that same question. But it was really because it had blown up and we had to move the sand away from the structure just to do the repairs on the railings and the spindles and so forth.
Yeah, I'm still trying to find that gal to see if she went down there to check that. I haven't seen her yet.
But you've not heard anything from the state that says that's an issue for you, for us?
With the plovers?
Yeah.
Not at First Street Beach.
Okay.
I didn't hear
Okay.
anything either, so. But
Yeah,
that,
and when they do notify us and they notify where we're at, there's a safety zone until the fledglings can actually fly. But we stop grooming, cleaning the beaches within that zone, so, but I haven't ever heard anything at First Street.
Okay.
So they don't keep the boats on the beach, though, like it said. It said they keep the boats on the beach. Didn't they used to keep them on the beach, but now they bring them up at night? Is that what we're saying? They bring them up through the path to where they camp?
That I don't know.
yeah, a lot of them, they come up and park in that big field,
Okay.
right past.
But where they access is, they've got little
that
rolled
path.
trailers that they roll down next to that walkway to the deck, and it's easy access to the inner harbor where it's calm.
Okay.
They may leave them on the beach, I don't know.
They haven't run over anybody, because I know a lot of people lay down there.
Yeah, they're actually a very passive group for us. We drop off their stuff. They have their weekend event. I think it's a nice visual out on the water, and we have never really had any issues with them.
Good.
I guess what surprises me, the whole porta potty thing and campers, and they don't request any extra?
We offer them to use the restroom facilities at the marina.
Oh.
They have to pay for that.
Oh, I was wondering how they got around
Yeah.
that. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Do you want me to read this motion again? Okay. Catamaran Racing Association of Michigan is requesting to hold their Manistee Regatta on June 27, 28, 2026. The sailing regatta event would take place out of the harbor near Douglas Park. The boats will be kept at the beach inside the harbor overnight, and the participants are requesting permission to camp in the grassy area west of the parking lot, as in the past years, and spaces in the big parking lot for RVs. At this time, council could take action to support and approve the request to use Douglas Park and the beach to launch and sail on Lake Michigan, June 27, 28, 2026, subject to department approval. You don't need a motion in a second?
motion in a
Another
second.
one? Okay.
I
Is
don't
there a
think we
motion?
had one yet.
I'll make
Yeah.
a motion.
I'll second that.
Will you please take roll, Heather?
Councilmember Raditz.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Smith.
Yes.
Councilmember Lasky.
Yes.
Mayor Sullivan.
Yes.
Councilmember Keck.
Yes.
Councilmember Grabowski.
Yes,
Councilmember Rezga.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you. Now we will have a report from Mr. A.J. Johnson, Republic Services.
Use the down arrow. The down arrow to advance. Yep.
Got two waters.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Feel like I was just here last summer. So I'm happy to be back. And some of you I've seen in the early fall with our tour. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. It was good to see. So to me, when I think about 2025, it was a year of change. You started off the year here with requests for proposals. Republic Services end up obtaining the work. We end up entering into an agreement for the services, but big changes with that contract and services, introducing the universal recycling program for the residents of the city of Manistee. And so I know I'm going to recap and show you some stuff you've seen or heard, but I'm just kind of going through those changes that took place in 25 because it was a lot of change. You had recycling carts being delivered last week of June, and we're coming in twice a month, first, third weeks of the month to collect those recyclable materials. So that was a big change for the city and for Republic Services. I know when we talked about the program, I came in here, we kind of designed a plan on how we're going to educate and distribute the carts, and I just thought I'd include some of that literature that did go out, and thank you to the department partnership with the city staff. I think of Bill, I think of Ed, I think of Brooke, I think of Jeff. They've been a huge asset in working together with us and collaborating on this material. What language we want to bring. There was a lot of back and forth, and they've been good partners in creating a lot of this educational material you'll see. So we sent the letters went out, the city sent it out, I do believe with the tax bill or water bill, so we're creating that education, where we're going with the program. So we were hoping to curb the surprise, I got a cart in my yard and didn't know what it was about. We didn't receive a lot of calls. Where did this cart come from? So I think the education worked well with the city and Republic. And you see the old recycle calendar there. I mean, we placed all these cart hangers on every cart that went out, just like we said we would with your calendar, what's recyclable, what's not, some do's and don'ts, unacceptable. I hope some took the time to actually visit the Recycling Simplified website. It's a very short video, but it's a good, and it teaches people a little bit more about recycling. So that was all with the cart deployment there in late June. I know more educational material went out, again, with partnership with the city, with a new 2026 recycle calendar, so residents knew when their recycling schedule would be. Again, re-emphasizing what can be recycled, so that way residents continue to see, what is and what isn't recyclable. And it was my understanding that a flyer from Eagle in partnership with the city did also go out as well. They took advantage of a grant that I do believe Eagle paid for those flyers to go out, so creating more education. In my opinion, the city has done a very good job in keeping this educational material in front of the residents and using avenues like a grant through Eagle Republic. So I think it's gone very well on the educational front. I did want to kind of just get into, what does this look like? We only have a 6-month snapshot. I know we have 2 months in 2026, but I just kept it to December 31st. You had this old single stream container where residents bring it to that location and put their recycling in a container like this. In 1 year, that container generated about 107,000 pounds of recyclable material. In just 6 months, since July, the pounds that have gone to the recycling facilities, 288,940 in just 6 months. So it shows you that the convenience of having it at the curb is prompting residents to actually recycle. That convenience. And it's being utilized. You can tell by the tonnage. I mean, that's a huge increase in just what's a year window going to look like. When I come back here next year, I can say, hey, this is what we did in all 2026. Here's your old. It's going to be, simply just double that, and that's a huge increase in volume to the recycling facility. We monitor how much participation we're seeing on the carts, on the street. The driver, we're estimating roughly 80% bi-weekly, but that does not mean a resident is not using it. That just means that maybe 80% are putting it out those 2 times a month. Some of them may not have enough material where they're just placing it once every 2 weeks. So the participation on the bi-weekly level may be 80, but very high when you consider the entire month stretch and routing. So I put this up here. I mean, again, snapshot July 1st to December 31st. I'm just trying to create and give you a snapshot of time. 2024, 2.7 million pounds roughly of solid waste. You can see in 2025 in that same window, you're down almost 100,000 pounds of trash. So you can see the diversion going away from the landfill and now going to a recycling facility. So that's a good trend. The numbers are saying people are diverting out of the landfill and utilizing this, and it's going to the recycling facility. Again, almost 289,000 pounds in 6 months that were brought to the recycling facility. This spoke to the recycling services. I mean, the trash, I mean, you can again see a downward tick in trash. 2024, 5.18 million pounds of trash taken out of the city. It's going down. I'm curious to see what 2026 will bring. So, you go over the residential cart participants. I know some residents have multiple carts. You got your bag customers and then your recycling participants. But delivering recycle carts to 2,500 plus residents is a big undertaking, and I know it wasn't, we had some residents that received some carts that shouldn't have, and it wasn't perfect, but I felt like we worked through it as best we could. It was a big undertaking. So to me, like I referred to, one of these highlights is we did get to go on a tour with some council members here seated today, and in August we all went down there. We went to Traverse City, got to tour the recycling facility, because I know there was a lot of questions. Is recycling real? Does it end up in the landfill? And while we were on this tour, we got to see a Republic Services truck coming to the facility to dispose of the recyclable material to be processed. So I felt like the tour was very educational. I recommend anyone who has an interest to go tour it. You don't understand unless you see with your own eyes what you're seeing in the processes, the conveyor belts. I mean, you see in the top right picture here, there's chutes of different, and it's all sorted material. You got different types of plastics. And in the bottom, you see the bales that they will go into to be shipped to a manufacturer that's going to repurpose them. So I felt it was educational, proof recycling is real. This is where we're bringing the material from the city of Manistee. Again, annual, we give back to the community in a special cleanup event. Just removing some material that shouldn't go in recycling containers or in the landfill. 2025, we had a recycling event for latex paint. And something unique about that recycler that took it is he does take every bit of that paint and he repurposes it either into asphalt or reusable paint that will be painted on a wall or somewhere else again. So the paint that was brought there is in fact recycled. A little over 12,000 pounds of paint that was collected in that event. And I think it's been a nice touch to add the bulk item cleanup to it. You're already bringing a lot of residents, and it's hopefully helping getting some blight, out of the yards. I mean, 14,000 pounds of, you think of a bulk event, usually they're big items. So overall, a lot of volume generated out of the city of Manistee from the event, whether it's recycled or bulk items. So, and one common theme here is I see Councilmember Lasky in a few pictures here being very supportive in the community. So, I mean, we're coming up again, another year. We do it every year. We're open to ideas, thoughts. Here's a trend of what we've done. Some events have been, haven't had as much participation. Others have had more. Seems like the paint had done well. We're open to ideas, moving forward what the city would like to see for 2026. Something I'm always going to throw out, inflation's doing better, which is awesome for everyone here, but I always like to keep track of what's happening in garbage and trash collection. You can see it also trending down, which is it's a good sign for everybody. Our contract we put in place based on a 3-year average is keeping pace with what inflation's doing, so it's good for both parties. We're keeping pace with inflation. The new contract we did, I do believe, had a 5% escalator. And lastly, I'm not going to get into a whole bunch of this, but I said I would do it on my first report, and I'm going to continue to do it. As Republic Services is a company, we have sustainability goals. We measure them every year. These are the things that are important to all of us that work for Republic Services. Number one and always top of the list is safety. We're going to measure it, and we're going to do everything we can to provide safe trucks and drivers to your city. We're engaged in our talent, which we have great news out of the Manistee hauling unit as far as when we gauge that, those scores. Be involved in our community and just climate leadership, doing our part to help reduce emissions, creating more circular economy with some of the recyclable material and renewable energy. So I'm going to just touch on a few of these things, points in this slide. And at the end, I'm just going to share the website that it leads you right to our sustainability report. And if anyone ever wants to know what Republic Services is all about, where we're going, the report is very good. But our business today, again, I just said I was going to point on safety. Republic as a company, 13,000 collision avoidance cameras in our trucks. So we're finding it very important so these drivers can not only see behind them, but in their blind spots. The Manistee office did deploy more of these into our vehicles. So again, when we're driving down your streets, we're doing it safer. The drivers have more vision in these blind spots and can see behind them. We can even see what's going in the hopper now at the top. So big investment into safety. Republic's still safer, 24% safer than the industry in what we do. As a company, 20% reduction in scope 1 and 2 emissions since 2017. So it's a focus. We're trying to do, we're a hauling company, but we're trying to do our part with the environment as well. Our talent's always important. We're engaging with these employees. We're running technician programs that we're hiring out of. We're hiring veterans, we're investing in our talent, and always want to be involved in our communities and do what we can to support the community through charitable givings. Safety, the big one here, 0 deaths on the report. That's just, we want everybody to make it home. That's out of our drivers. You can see a downward trend in our incident reduction. We're measuring the incidents we have by hours, and we come up with a matrix that says, hey, we're improving in our incidents. Again, safety is the top of everything we do. Talent, we survey every employee we have twice a year, and we want to get feedback. We want engaged employees. And as a company, our goal is to have a score of 88. And I know it doesn't mean much to you, but it's a pretty high score once it's all said and done. Manistee office had a combined score of 88. We're already at the corporate goal of having engaged employees based on these surveys. And you can see in a industry average, they're hovering around 79, 80. And I know you don't understand what goes in those numbers, just know we're measuring them. And there's a lot of questions asked about, are you satisfied to work at Republic? Is it a good place to work? Does your supervisor care? Do you feel like change has been made since the last time? There's a lot to it. And Manistee is doing very well. Climate leadership, one thing is circular economy. I talked about a polymer center in Indianapolis, which is our area leadership team. I got to tour the polymer center last summer before we went on our tour, and it's a little different than a recycling facility when we went in Traverse City. They only take plastics, and they go through the same systems you've seen, and it gets broken down into little plastic chips, where now we have a contract with like Coca-Cola where we send these clean plastic product back to Coca-Cola, who then puts it back into a bottle. So you started as a bottle, it went through a process, it's a bottle again. And so those are some of the things that Republic Services is investing in in a circular economy and sustainability. Community investment, always important. We're always looking for opportunities. How can we be involved in your community? If there's things we can support, like the Forest Festival, you know, Tight Lines for Troops. These are, we look for opportunities like this, like you see here. So appreciate the time, you know, the partnership, welcoming you here. Hope I was less than 15 minutes. I always wonder how long it took, but you know, you can see some nice accolades where Public Services is year in and year out a part of. So republicservices.com/sustainability/reporting. There's a lot of information there about Republic. Do you have any questions?
So I noted that on one of your slides you had 50% biogas. Is Manistee doing anything towards
So we have, now biogas, we have some facilities like Indianapolis that'll literally take the methane, you know, the gases out of the landfill and then turn it into fuel for the trucks. Manistee does not have that. There's a big investment in that infrastructure. The same, Todd Harlan, you know, runs our Manistee office and our Pearson office just south of Big Rapids. That particular landfill has a gas to energy facility there where it collects the methane gas and it kicks, we sell the power to consumers who then provides power for just under 3,000 homes. And so it's not the Manistee, it's the same team. I've asked, is there anything like that in the works for Manistee at our landfill? Not that I know of as today.
And also, that tour was really good. And there was this machine that could sort plastic. It was incredible. I don't know how it could do it, because it was faster than the speed of light, and it could sort every kind of plastic. So
Yes.
it was very impressive.
And you can see why recycling isn't, there's a lot of money invested in that facility, the technology, the labor. So people would say, hey, there's a commodity at the end, but there's a lot that goes into that process and recycling.
Well, I got some good pictures from that day too, so.
You did. I know. I enjoyed it. That's my 5th recycling tour, so once you've seen one, they're all very similar. But I enjoy it every time because it's amazing to see how much product is on the floor in bales, running through the machines, and just seeing how it sorts. It's all going so fast.
And it was amazingly clean.
Yes, clean, but it's just the conveyor belt. Everything's moving so fast. And how that system works.
They were begging for more. They said they really could use a lot more stuff coming in.
Yes. So I think it's been a good transition to the recycling, the curbside recycling for the most part. So.
Did you say, I was just a question, on the tonnage, I wrote it down, the solid waste reduced about 101, but the recycling went up
I know.
28.
Right.
So where are we getting the stuff?
Where's the difference?
Yeah, where's
That's
180?
a great question. I didn't serve, you know, I couldn't answer where that additional volume's coming from. And even your old at Oak Grove, the drop-off site, you know you were getting some from outside the city.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
We got it at that paint day.
So you're right though. Where is it coming from? And you can look at. I've looked at the city's tonnage trends since 2014, and sometimes it just makes you scratch your head. Like why in 2024 August was 20,000 pounds more than August 2025. So it's like, why is that? I don't know where they. You know, it's a good question. I know the tonnages are accurate though.
Is the recycling coming in from Manistee pretty clean? Are we having many spoiled loads or anything?
Yep, no, we did do a follow-up call with GFL in the facility. And just like they said on the tour, Republic, hey, they do a pretty good job with bringing clean material. We have not gotten one single call about contaminated loads being brought in, because then I would have had to have a conversation with the city manager and stuff. So we're doing pretty good.
Are they ever going to accept styrofoam? Because we get a lot of that.
It's all dependent on process and where it's going. Almost every recycling facility, unless it's specialized in styrofoam, like if you're gonna bring them a big bale of styrofoam, there's gonna be someone that take it, but a lot of the sorting processes can't handle it. And in Traverse City, we want material that if something happens there, they shut down for a week or two, we can go bring it down to somewhere else that can recycle it, and it's kind of universal. So at the current moment, no.
It was interesting that they sent stuff out west.
Oh, yeah, there is definitely a chart. The closer you can stay is the better. There's gonna be less trucking costs, but yeah, you need end users of that bale that could recreate it into something different, whether it's a shirt or carpet or whatever it may be.
And the cardboard comes back to PCA here, which is interesting, and they pay for
Yes,
it.
yep,
So it's a revenue for them.
yes, that's correct.
Good, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you,
thanks.
AJ.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we'll have a report from Andrew Stafford on the River Street streetscape discussion.
Sorry about that.
All right, so we got together back in December, if you remember, and did our joint meeting there, and we had our overarching streetscape discussion. That was the whole streetscape and kind of excluded the RAP grant or everything west of Maple, simply because the designs for that were still getting finalized. And so this is a hyper-focused presentation on everything west of Maple Street. What we've been working on over the last year with Spicer, if you remember back in January of 25, we came before you with that request and letter of support for applying for the RAP, and it was back in April, May timeframe when we were announced the awarding of the RAP grant. And so over the last 8 months, we've been working diligently on coming up with a design that is kind of sustainable and scalable and financially feasible for what we want the streetscape to be. And so just an overview of what we're going to be discussing today. We're going to start with some background information about how much work's gone into the streetscape as a whole in the kind of the new effort to create a new streetscape. And then we're going to follow that up with where we are today, design, funding, and then kind of what's next, and finally any questions that you guys may have from what I say today. And I also have Lucas in the back, so if you have any really technical questions, Lucas can take the lead on that. But just to kind of set the playing field here, back in 2000 was when the last streetscape project happened. That was a complete overhaul of the streetscape. That's where we got pavers put in ribbon formation, and the additions of the Victorian light poles on those kind of stone monuments, if you'd like to call them that, and some of the stone walls that we have down by like the Marina Park. Those were all accessories and amenities added back in 2000. And streetscapes typically last anywhere from 20 to 30 years, depending on maintenance. And so we've come due on the lifespan of our streetscape, and so we're right in that time window of about 25 years. But I really want to highlight the fact that the design and the work that's gone into recreating a new streetscape initiative wasn't started last year, wasn't started with the RAP grant, wasn't even started back in 23. It was started back in 2018 with Michigan State Extension helping facilitate input sessions and study sessions with community members here in the city of Manistee to identify priority areas in downtown and what our streetscape could use. And so that was with grad students from Michigan State to help facilitate that, and very similar priorities came out of that, of beautification, connectivity, safety, and that was a semi-professional plan in just kind of broad brush strokes. And so the DDA back in 2023 engaged Fleece and Vanderbrink, a civil engineering firm, to hold a overarching kind of very robust study of the whole River Street and Riverwalk corridor. From that, we got a lot of great information. We got a lot of community input. There was over 300 residents engaged through surveys and public input sessions. And so that was a great practice in exercise and community engagement. But what that left us with was a laundry list of items saying, you can have heated streets, an elevator, X, Y, and Z, but it's going to cost you $15 million. And so that's not realistic. And so since 2023, the DDA has been working on getting that list to a very concise design. And as I mentioned before, it has to be scalable. It has to be able to be replicated in a way that's economic to the DDA and to the city's finances. And so we pulled the primary elements that we heard from residents and stakeholder groups from the F&V study and engaged Right Side Design in the beginning or end of 24, beginning of 25 to help narrow that down. And so he was, Brandon Jensen with Right Side Design was able to narrow that down into very specific elements that accomplish those goals of the safety, accessibility, connectivity, beautification. And then something to note, back in 2024, because of the F&V study, the city did repeal a chapter within the codified ordinances for the city, 1028, which limited some of the kind of urban planning best practices such as bump outs. And so the city council repealed that ordinance to allow newer kind of best practices to be implemented in the streetscape design. And so right now, as I've mentioned, over the last year, we've worked to kind of narrow down that design, and in doing so, we've engaged Spicer over the last year to help engineer that design. And so they've been the ones to support the city and the DDA in the application of the RAP application, as well as finalizing that design, doing all the construction design work for that. And so it's been a long haul. I really just want to press that point to council that a lot of work's gone into this, like hundreds of hours of the subcommittee's time and Spicer's time has gone into really creating a design that we're proud of and that we think is going to really benefit the city of Manistee and its residents. And so we have some engineering drawings. I'm going to take a minute to really let you guys look at them. This is what we currently have down at the west end of River Street. And so to give you some landmarks, you have the Outsider Plaza on that right-hand side of your page. And then on the left-hand side is Spruce Street, where River Street has that breakneck merge with Water Street currently. Some of the design elements in this is just like the rest of River Street, where you have that ribbon of pavers that run parallel with the curb line, and then it goes perpendicular and kind of juts into the building line with cement sidewalk kind of scattered in between. And something I mentioned back in December is the goal that we wanted is to limit materiality. We want to limit how many different materials are used, because every material settles, but it just settles at a different rate. And so now we have all these trip hazards because we have concrete and pavers that intersect one another, and that's what's caused some of the problems with downtown sidewalks and caused to be shaving of concrete sidewalks, which just isn't very attractive in the long run. And so moving on, our first design element is this plaza area. And so we would like to go completely pavers across the board with curbless design, because we are trying to create more of a gathering space for downtown. That was one of the big priorities out of all the studies, is creating a gathering space where people can hold events and not have to shut down all of River Street starting at Division Street. We want a place where people can gather and it's functional for our events. And so some elements of this are the curbless nature. There will be 2 to 3 outlet receptacles in the ground for things like food trucks or for vendors. And then also they will kind of have a slight change to the traffic flow there. Rather than having that merge with river and water, it'll be a more gradual turn, yield to turn onto water from River Street. And so this is just the first overlay. There's several more of the same spot, because I know right now it can be a little ambiguous still. It's just kind of a sheet of pavers, but this will be curbless with still delineation between where the sidewalks are and where the roadway is, with a different color and different pattern of pavers. And so that is the kind of gray color that you see running perpendicular across the page there. And so those will still just be curbless, but just visual delineations between sidewalk and roadway. So the next element is bollards. The point of this, as I mentioned, is to be an event space. And so our design is meant to be able to easily temporarily close down this space. The goal is not to completely close down this roadway. This will still be a way where people can come, park, and then leave onto Water Street and drive completely through it onto Water Street. However, when people are holding events there, we currently have it where DPW hauls barricades down, vehicles are blocking the roadway, and so we wanted to create something that was a little more functional. And so on the right-hand side, that egress point, if you want to call it, will have bollards, which are posts that are probably waist high, some lit, some will not be lit, that will be removable, that you'll be able to remove when there's an event going on and then leave it open when there is no event going on. When it is closed, traffic will be kind of diverted onto Pine and then onto Water. And so we still have that traffic flow. And then there'll be bollards not only in the front, but on the back, and then also along the sides where the sidewalks are to kind of show where the parking ends and where the sidewalk begins. And so there'll be multiple points of kind of visual delineation. And this is a rendering of the space. And so if you look on the upper right-hand side, you'll get a glimpse or an idea of what the bollards would look like, kind of protecting that space if an event was happening. If you look at the bottom and you look kind of far into the photo, you see how there's more of a gradual turn onto Water Street. And it's not just a merger where you have to kind of continue and guess if the person's going to stop or not. And then another part to mention is going back to this, the community foundation's property is where that community fountain is at the moment. And so if you look at the bottom of the screen, that triangle is owned by the community foundation, and they've been excellent partners. Up to this point, we've been collaborating with them, making sure that the design that we've been implementing, they're on board with, and that they understand how it's going to impact their property here. And so they've been great partners to work with and have been very cooperative. And we're the ones who we had an original design that was more of a parking lot feel because we were going to do asphalt in the roadway, and it wasn't going to have as much functionality, and they were the ones to actually suggest the full paver look. And looking back on the F&V study, this was actually the complete closure of River Street was the preferred model to go with when the public was surveyed. And so this design is kind of supported through that and had a lot of public input drawn from that Fleece and Vanderbrink study. Lucas, did I miss anything? All right. So we're going to kind of shift further east. So we're going to go towards Kelly's Hallmark, Fricano's, where Pamela's interior design is currently. And this is currently what we have. This is what we have in that roadway. Again, the same design of ribbon pavers with poured concrete. And what we're looking to do here, I want you to focus on the intersections. And so the intersection of Pine, where the outsider would be, and then going to the far right of your screen where Oak intersects River. And so the design is to incorporate just 6 bump outs along this roadway. We aren't touching anything from a design standpoint between the bump outs though. And so we are just looking to slow down vehicle traffic in this stretch of River Street to get pedestrians farther out in the road so they have a better line of sight and help make our egress points onto River Street safer. So the West Shore Community College parking lot, the intersection of Oak and River, and then kind of that turn eventually onto Pine. And so these will be 6 additional bump outs, 2 at the end with the outsider, and then 4 included on that Oak and River Street intersection, because that is the intersection that's been kind of a major concern, and there's really no good parking spot or crossing spot by the Elks, right? It's almost at this weird grade where it's not ADA accessible. You're half sideways, about to roll down the hill in the winter months, and so this will allow it to be on a more leveled grade where people can safely cross. And then there'll also be bollards on these bump outs for pedestrian safety. It will allow some sort of hard barrier between pedestrian and vehicle traffic, which will give a sense of security on those bump outs. These will also be lit, correct, Lucas? Yeah, so these will also be lit bollards, and so you'll have, the physical delineation here between bump out and roadway. In between.
And those will be permanent?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, there'll be permanent bollards there are certain traffic grades that have to be met, and we're going to make sure that that's all in check. Between these bump outs here of pine and oak, there will be paver resetting. So we're just going to pick up the pavers, kind of regrade everything, redo the bases of those, and then replace them so they're properly installed, and that sinking doesn't kind of happen again, and it eliminates the immediate trip hazard. And so from a funding standpoint, the RAP grant got us $756,000 of grant funding. Originally, the DDA was matching that with $495,000, and the city came with a match of $200,000. And so that was the original application. Construction has gone kind of it's still increasing at a fast rate. And so we got 3 very competitive bids. Spicer released an RFP back in January. We got 3 bids back that were open at the beginning of February. And so even with the low bid, though, when we were looking at it, we've had to do a lot of value engineering, had to kind of opt out some of the alternatives that we really wanted to see in that plan. But it's still a plan that we're proud of. And so the DDA has kind of gone all in on this because we want to see it. We want to make it happen because it's been a priority in our TIF plan. And it's one of the reasons that the city has a DDA is to make investments like this, specifically into the downtown. And so we bumped our amount up from 495 to 609, and that's because we'll have a surplus next year and be able to add an additional 114 to the project budget. And then Ed's been a wizard with pulling different elements of major street funds and figuring out a way to kind of get a little more money for us for this project, because in addition to those bump outs, we will be getting a mill and fill of that section of River Street. And so that section of River Street will be redone after these bump outs are added, and that's undetermined as to the timeline. And currently we do have a funding gap of $250,000. However, we've had, I should say we have a soft commitment to completely cover that. We can't publicly state, where those funds are coming from just yet, but we have a soft commitment as of right now to cover that gap. And so the project is, as of right now, fully funded, at least on paper, with sources and uses. And so what's next? We still need to officially select the bid that's going to be awarded. And part of that is going to be signing construction documents and grant agreements. That'll be coming down the pipe in March for the most part, if we want to keep our construction timeline that we currently have. After all our documents are signed in the month of March, we'll move on to the start of construction. And so that has to start really no later than May. It's most likely going to start in April. And there are milestones that have to be met within the construction phase. And so the first milestone is June 30th, and that's going to be all the bump out work. We want to make sure all the businesses that would get impacted by any type of foot traffic closure or vehicle traffic closure will not be impacted during the peak seasons of July and August. And so getting those bump outs done will help businesses like Fricano's and Kelly's have open sidewalks in July over the 4th of July. We don't want to have open sidewalk with a sidewalk closed sign impacting those businesses come July. And so June 30th is the deadline for the bump out work that has to be done. And then the plaza work, so that first slide that we saw, is going to have from after the 4th of July until August 28th to be complete, and that's the second milestone. And all the punch list items have to be completed by September 4th. And so that's the timeline that we're currently working with. And I've talked to all the businesses that are in this impacted area. Everybody says, it's not, nobody likes construction. It's going to be a little uncomfortable, but everybody's really been on board with the design that we've come up with and understand that, we're doing our best to really mitigate the impact of construction on foot traffic into their businesses. And so some of the questions we've gotten is specifically parking related. There really isn't going to be that much loss of parking, especially in that plaza area, due to the way it's being configured. And we're also going to, the way we stripe or mark parking in downtown is going to change a little bit for that section. And so we're actually going to be not gaining parking, but we won't have those boxes with the X's, and it'll be striped a little differently. That will actually give us back some of the parking spots that are lost from the bump outs. And so kind of the net loss will be minimal. And so are there any questions? I know that was a little long-winded. I'll be happy to go back to any design if anybody has any questions as of right now.
Just one, I want to make.
Yep.
Like if you have a beer truck or Gordon's or whatever, whoever's delivering, are they still going to go straight and then turn left on Spruce and come up first? Or what is the plan for the trucks? What road do you envision them using,
So
the deliveries?
The way that it's currently designed, I don't know if we have an anticipated route. I know they could most likely make either turn though. And Lucas ran some simulations to make sure that,
tight.
yeah, to make
on
sure
that
that Pine to Water, that you can do that in a truck that we don't really even get downtown. And so like a giant semi can make that turn still from River onto Pine, back onto Water.
From
Pretty
the left,
easy, yeah,
from the left
yeah,
lane even.
yeah.
Because, okay, yeah.
Are you gonna close Pine to Spruce?
So it's not going to be closed. There's still going to be vehicle traffic through there. It is just not going to feel quite like a roadway. It's going to feel more probably like a parking lot in the sense of the changing, rather than having parallel parking on both sides of the street, there'll be one side that has more of a perpendicular parking structure to it. And so that might make it feel more like a parking lot area at times rather than a roadway. And in part that's due to really slow down traffic, because in that section of River Street, it's going to feel a little tighter when we do that. And so that's going to inherently slow people down through that section. And that's one of the goals. Is every business I've talked to has said it's like a drag strip out there. Anything you can do to make sure people are going slow through River Street would be great. And that's the intention of the bump outs. And then also with that plaza area, it's going to feel a lot tighter from a driver's standpoint, but safer from a pedestrian standpoint.
You're not gonna have curbs.
Not in that plaza area. No, there'll be no curves in that plaza area. And that's because we really want to use that as an event space. And so going curbless, you have just more continuous surface area on the same grade. And so, you won't have any problems with ADA accessibility. And I guess the way people are utilizing that space, it's just giving more square footage to utilize for events.
Snow plowing, is it going to destroy those pavers?
So in talking with Jeff, I believe that there's going to be a slightly different approach to that plaza area that's going to have to be implemented. Jeff, am I correct in saying that? So there'll be a slightly different maintenance protocol for that plaza area. The reason we went with the pavers rather than concrete though is really due to the long-term cost effectiveness of pavers. It's expensive up front, but when you do repairs on pavers, you can pick them up, get to what you need to get to, and then place them right back down, rather than what we have right now between, let's say, Maple and Poplar, where we have parts that sidewalks had to get crushed up and then re-poured, and the pour is completely different, where you didn't have a good pour. And so there's a clear difference in quality of the sidewalk now that has kind of made downtown look a little patchy at times. And when concrete starts to move, we're shaving it down. And so pavers, there wouldn't have to be that shaved down. It's going to be kind of a longer term, hopefully more durability and longer lifespan from those pavers.
So mine is like snow plowing too, but the bump outs, that's going to be kind of tricky, especially as you're going past. How are we going to address that?
Well, luckily we have a really good DPW director.
Very carefully.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I have confidence in you.
I don't know.
I'm not worried about the bump outs. I'm worried about those pavers getting destroyed.
And related to that, okay, so I get the Ballard thing. It goes in a hole. But is there an insert that goes in the hole to keep it clean?
There'll be a cap.
There's a
Okay,
plate.
there's a cap, okay.
Plate.
I figured there had to be something, but I just,
So to answer both questions, what we've talked about is buying a special cutting edge to put on a plow, a pickup plow, so that when we do the plowing over the bricks, it's not the steel, the iron that's grating on those. They're more forgiving. It's what we use on the Kubota when we do the sidewalks downtown for the same reason. So we'd kind of dedicate that. It's going to take a little more effort for us to clear the snow out of that area, because have you seen now, we usually plow it all into a windrow. We take a very large snow blower, we load it into trucks. We're going to have to do this section a little bit differently. The bump outs do add a little bit of wrinkle, and we're going to have to figure that out, because right now when we do that windrow, we leave about 12 feet of clear space to be able to get around the equipment and so forth, and so we're just going to have to work through some of those things.
What about the number of parking spots in front of the marina? Will they remain about the same for that event center?
Roughly the same. It's going from roughly 24 to 19, if I counted correctly. So there is going to be some loss there. The long-term goal of the DDA, though, and this is me speaking freely, not from the board, this is just one of the big purposes of a DDA is to assist with parking in downtown. And so that area of River Street does have a disparity in parking, the way it's dispersed. A lot of our parking is on that east end of River where our public lots are. And so a long-term goal should be to prioritize parking on that west end, but that's going to have to be through finding an area to do more of a parking lot feel to it, because there's currently no public parking lot on that end. And so that is something that needs to be a long-term priority as well following this, but it's going to be a marginal impact based on our parking studies. Down there, there's always availability, I should say.
Yeah, could you go back to one of the bump out slides? So one part of the loss, or one part of the reason for the loss of the parking too, is right now, if you can recall, on River Street, you can park all the way up to the crosswalk, and these bump outs extend out to be tapered on a 20-foot length, so that way that's your spot that you're losing for parking for parallel, so you won't be able to pull all the way up to the crosswalk anymore, which will give more vision for both the pedestrian and for the drivers to see the pedestrians. So that's where you see the loss of the parking. And going back to the plaza, we did, or Andrew did not mention one thing. All of these pavers are designed for pervious system right now, so all the stormwater should, if maintained, drain through the system there. And the difference between these pavers and the pavers that are in the ribbons right now too is these are structural pavers, so they're 4 inches thick on a road-based gravel, whereas the pavers that are in the ribbons right now are landscaping pavers that are just on sand with no drainage. So this should be, you shouldn't see as many of the same issues with this system.
Good.
Any other questions?
Any other towns have this kind of design?
I mean, a lot of towns have town centers and have spaces that feel very similar to this, because more towns are prioritizing event space. I don't know of any town that has an exact feel like this. I know Gaylord has a design where their farmers market's on a side street under a ginormous canopy structure where it's still an active roadway under a structure during the week, and then on the weekends when they hold their farmers market, they completely shut down that roadway, and they're able to heat the space, and it's a pretty cool design in Gaylord.
so now that you mentioned it's porous, how much more maintenance is that gonna be for the DPW? You know, to keep the sand out and everything so it continues to drain?
Yeah, so the pavers themselves are not porous.
Okay.
The joints between the pavers are
So
pervious.
it won't be any more maintenance?
I mean, it'll just need the standard street sweeping, and I'm sure, we'll need to take a special look at it every now and again compared to streets, but.
So it keeps working?
So it keeps working, but in lieu of, if it doesn't get maintained in full force, then it is designed for, to drain all the stormwater to catch basins anyway. but I'm sure you got something to add.
They've supplied with the specific maintenance recommendations for this system.
Yeah.
And basically, brooming the surface will take away the majority of the silt and debris out of the joints. So you do that, several times during the season. And then every 5 to 8 years, if I recall correctly, they recommended actually running like a vacuum. And the new sweeper that we're looking to purchase has the vacuum capability. That lifts off a little bit of the filler sand that's in the joints, and then you simply have to put new stuff back in it. So we've been looking at that.
Is that angle parking then on the left-hand side there, or how's the parking? And are there gonna be markings or in that street, the street lamps kind of are maybe where do you park, I guess, looking at that first picture left?
The south side of that plaza area is designed for angled parking.
Okay.
And then the north edge is designed to be parallel like it is now. And then once you get towards the skew towards Water Street, there'll actually be parallel parking along Water Street. I think 3 or 4 spaces on there that don't exist today because it's in the middle of the asphalt area. And then what we don't show on the renderings, which I'm just now realizing, is in the ribbon, that's where the bollards will be parallel to the plaza. So you see the gray strip all the way down. There'll be bollards every so often to deter people from driving up on the sidewalk area. And they'll be kind of parallel with the streetlights. There's 3 or 4 streetlights out there.
So you park in between the streetlights, like say on the lower picture? I guess I'm not envisioning where.
It will still be striped in a certain way.
Okay,
Like, they'll
so
still
you just kind of,
It'll be painted, yeah.
Yeah, it'll still be painted.
but the
Yeah.
street lights are kind of you park to the right of the street lights there?
To the left.
Yeah, in between the 2 gray
Okay,
strips. So they'll be it's not shown on the renderings, but they'll be painted parking spaces. They just won't be as high as like the roads with
Like
the
right
bright
here.
yellow or the bright white.
You're gonna park like this and then like this, not
Yeah,
there,
this is closed for an event.
not that.
So
so
you,
that between the 2 gray lines is the sidewalk area?
Yes.
Okay.
I thought we didn't have angling parking in Manistee.
Well, that's why you repealed 1028 last year.
They have angled parking.
I think angled parking was one of the parts of that ordinance, and that's why you never seen angled parking in Manistee or along the roadway. And so that was one of the elements with bump outs and having designs like this, just trying to better utilize the space and add parking when it may be eliminated. Having the ability to do angled parking is kind of helping save some of those spots.
So, right now there's, I guess, the butterfly garden and different trees and so on. How's that gonna change? Or is it gonna change? Or
It won't be changed at this point.
Good. Yeah, she's worked hard on those. Those are.
yeah. So,
Bless you.
Bless you.
Any final questions?
Thank you, guys.
thank you very much.
thank you.
Okay, citizens' comment. This is an opportunity for citizens in attendance to comment on municipal services, activities, or other areas of city involvement, limited to 5 minutes. Letters submitted to council will not be publicly read. Buddy. Oh, sorry.
Evening, council members. Carmen Cott with the Manistee Area Chamber of Commerce. An effort to make sure that we're being completely transparent with the Manistee Area Chamber of Commerce, I wanted to share with you a couple of bullet points of some things that we're working on. And while it's not all that we're working on, I just thought maybe you might be able to walk away with some value and be able to share with some other individuals. First and foremost, we are working on a relocation guide. It's a grant that we received, and this would allow us to be able to have 2 parts. One part is a digital relocation guide, and then a video component. So with that, we're hoping to attract prospective residents, workforce recruits, entrepreneurs, and remote workers that are considering relocation. And then we have a digital component that would then be shared with our local realtors, our major employers that are hoping to recruit people to Manistee County. And the video portion will be launched at the Business Award Gala, and then the digital portion will be then launched in this September. We also have upgraded our calendar through the Manistee Area Chamber of Commerce on our website, which is powered through AI, so it grabs certain events throughout the community, entire Manistee County. And so this platform is hopefully designed to be, I talked to Bill, hopefully we can get this shared out on the city's website, the counties, everywhere, so that way we can make sure that all things are being shared around the community. Moving forward, the MDOT website, we have been keeping a pulse on the US 31 road construction project, and we want to make sure that we're giving all of our businesses in the community an opportunity to learn more about it. So by providing a local forum or just an info session for them to learn more and how it may impact their business. We have designed a website which will then be kind of like a communication point where that can also be shared with the city, the county, other area township that will be directly affected. And we have and will continue to work with our community partners to ensure that we're all working on the same page. Last but not least, we have taken over the county summit that was driven by the Manistee County. And so we are reimagining it to be the state of the community, which will be held on Friday, April 24th. And it's to focus on the city, the county, manufacturing, tourism, economic development, education, healthcare, and safety. So there will be an invite if you guys haven't already received one through a calendar. There'll be more information to come soon. I hope you learned a little bit about what we're learning tonight, and we will have our full presentation in May. Thank you again for the partnership with the city and the chamber, and hope that we can continue to work together stronger in 2026. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Mr. Campbell?
Nothing at this time, thank you.
Any council members have anything before we vote on going to closed session?
Well, you know I have to do my Ramsdale plug. So on Friday at 1 p.m., Life of Pi will be presented by the National Theater live. And thank you for trimming all those trees on 15th Street DPW. A couple of really dead pines. Guys were just pushing them over. They were very dangerous, so thank you. So that's it.
Thank you. Hey,
I'm free.
you good?
I'm done.
I'm good.
Really?
Thank you, everybody.
Okay. Okay, consideration of closed session union contract negotiations. City Manager William Gamble has requested a closed session as permitted by Michigan Open Meetings Act, Section 8C, to discuss negotiations with United Steelworkers. At this time, council could take action to proceed into closed sessions under Section 8C of the Michigan Open Meetings Act. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Thank you. Heather, would you please take roll?
Councilmember Raditz.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Smith.
Yes.
Councilmember Lasky.
Yes.
Mayor Sullivan.
Yes.
Councilmember Keck.
Yes.
Councilmember Grabowski.
Yes.
Councilmember Rezga.
Yes.
Motion approved. Okay, we're back in open session.
I need a motion to adjourn.
Week.
I'll make that motion.